another episode of Wayne's World of Science and Technology. This will be another short take. Let's talk about the war in Ukraine. A lot of people have been talking about casualties and, well, how things are playing out with the different way things are, the movements on the fronts are concerned. Now, I am not a military expert. I don't know exactly what's going on the ground. I don't know the terrain. I don't know the weapons. And even if I did, I wouldn't know how to put it all together. What I do know is historical battles and how they played out and how people have done things in the past. And from that, we can draw certain lessons based on the reporting which we've gotten. The first is that the Russian tactics tend to be along the lines of what is generically called hey diddle diddle right up the middle. In other words, Russian tactics involve direct attacks against whatever they see in front of them, and who cares about the casualties? This has negative impacts on their forces because, of course, they take casualties. Now, we don't know how many. The reporting out of Ukraine is such that we have no idea what the casualties are on either side. But the Russian casualties are most likely a lot heavier because of the style of fighting they are pulling. You know, direct attacks against fortified targets are not easy things to pull off. Now, the Ukrainians, on the other hand, they are playing a different game. They don't attack fortified targets. They go around them, cut off the supply lines, and then force the troops in the fortified target to either retreat or run out of food and ammunition. This means that they take less in the way of casualties. This doesn't mean they don't take any casualties. They're still taking a lot of casualties, yes, but they take less. By avoiding direct attacks against targets, which would be extremely dangerous and hard to take, they're making it easy to take those targets. If you have a division in an area and that division can no longer get supplies, that division is going to run out of use. It basically it becomes it loses its usefulness. That's over the first couple days without supplies, it probably wouldn't notice that much, but after a bit, yes, you're going to see a definite degradation. That's why what we're seeing in the Kherson Oblast is so important. What the Ukrainians have done is they turn around, they've cut off the Russian supply routes by knocking out the bridges. This means the Russians aren't getting enough ammunition to replace what they're using, so they are literally being forced to surrender or run. And the Ukrainians are quite happy to let them run because every Russian that runs is another Russian that isn't fighting. And that also adds more terror in the backfield, which means more Russians are likely to run, especially if they know that the Ukrainians are likely to let them get away with this. The Russians appear to have adapted. We've heard reports that they now have three lines of troops where the second line is supposed to shoot the first line, the first line runs back, and the third line is supposed to shoot the second line. I don't know how true that is. It's something that the Soviet Union definitely did. Whether the Russian Federation is doing it, I do not know. But the point is that because they are having so much issues in the way of holding the line because they just don't have the supplies to keep fighting, that they are having to fall back, and it's the same in other places. The Ukrainians are working around the supply lines. They are cutting off the Russians' ability to supply these fortified hubs, and without the supplies, the fortified hubs cannot hold. And that's why the Ukrainians are taking less in the way of casualties. Now, again, I didn't say no casualties, but they are taking less. The report from the Ukrainian General Staff that the Russians are taking 6.5 casualties for every one the Ukrainians are taking in the Kherson Oblast is quite possibly true. When I say quite possibly true, don't forget the Ukrainians know that a lot of this stuff is going to come out. Historians are going to be over this war like you wouldn't believe the second it finishes. As a matter of fact, I've been talking to a couple of historians who mentioned that they know historians in Ukraine who are already gathering stuff for books. So I don't think the Ukrainian general staff is going to get caught out in too bad a lie. In other words, that number's probably relatively close, or at least it's what they think is relatively close based on the information they have. Anyway, that's it for now. I will be back a bit later. I've got a couple of other shorts that I want to cut today. Have a good day, folks, and be safe. Bye bye.